Okay. It looks like we might have quorum here. So I'm gonna do a quick roll call in the call to order, starting with the city of Tucson,
Present.
city of South Tucson, town of Oro Valley. Okay.
Present.
It looks like we might have quorum here. So I'm gonna do a quick roll call in the call to order, starting with the city of Tucson,
Present.
city of South Tucson. Okay, Jonathan, can you mute yourself? Okay.
Present.
It looks like. Sorry about that, y'all. Okay. Sorry, we were at the town of Oro Valley.
Town of Oro Valley's here.
Okay. Town of Marina. City of Tucson.
Present.
Pima County. Okay. Pasco Yaqui tribe. Tohono O'odham Nation. Town of Saharita.
Town of Sarita's here.
All right. I think that constitutes quorum, so we can get started. So, as always, this is the in-kind form. Regional planning efforts are enhanced by recording time donated by attendees, volunteers, and participants. PAG collects data on the time dedicated to the meetings and activities to apply for use as matching funds or grants in federal dollars. If you're paid for with federal dollars, please let us know now. All right, hearing none, we can continue. So this is going to be a brief presentation on the Comprehensive Operational Analysis, or the COA recommendation. I'm going to be assisted by my colleague from the city of Tucson, James Castaneda. And this is really a conversation piece, so we're hoping to have some discussion and dialogue about where we're at and what we're expecting to come in the next month, 2 months, and so on. If you haven't already received a invitation, those of our jurisdictions that have been identified as really high impact areas, or areas that are going to see a lot of changes in the final recommendation if the draft plan is adopted as by the public, or excuse me, if public feedback supports the draft plan, we're reaching out and contacting those jurisdictions that will see changes. If you haven't already received an invite to an event or a meeting set up by myself and James Castaneda, then the services to your area are going to remain largely or virtually the same. Just to give a quick update on where we're at, I'll turn it over to James Castaneda to describe kind of the milestones we've completed and where we're headed.
Sure, thank you, Rio. So as I believe many of you were able to attend the virtual stakeholder and agency meeting that we had on July 18th. During that meeting, we went over a presentation kind of outlining and highlighting the key changes that are proposed with the COA. Just to refresh everyone's memory, the target improvements were based around kind of 5 key principles or things we heard from the initial round of feedback, and those were to realign routes to provide more direct access to key locations, invest in high frequency 15-minute plus service on key corridors, improve access and quality of service for traditionally underserved communities, extend hours to 11 p.m. on weekdays and 10 p.m. on weekends, and finally to add frequency on weekends so transit is more convenient for shopping and recreation. Kind of using those as the key target improvements, what the plan essentially is, and I want to make sure that everyone is kind of understanding the goal or intent of it, is it's a cost and resource neutral plan. So with that, we took the current number of revenue hours available system-wide and reallocated them based on what we heard in feedback to try and account for changes in transit demand, in growth, things like that. So it's not looking to expand the budget or resources that we currently have, just sticking with what we have and making adjustments to the network to try and help facilitate more transit use and provide a better customer experience throughout the network. So with that, I believe if you weren't able to attend that virtual stakeholder meeting, we have that recorded. And with that recording, we also received a number of questions that we worked to put together a pretty comprehensive question and answer page. I think it was about a 10-page PDF that we sent out with the meeting recording, as well as instructions on how to access that recorded meeting. In addition to that, I'd like to welcome folks to visit our website. It's TucsonCOA.com. On that website, you'll find another recording. It's essentially the same presentation. It's a clickable YouTube link, so it'll take you right to a video. It'll walk through all those highlights in the draft COA plan. And it also will outline all the ways that folks can participate. And that's really what I would like to stress in this meeting, is that the proposed recommendations coming out of the first draft of the COA are just that, they are proposals. These are not by any means final recommendations. What the plan will be moving forward is the current period of public engagement started on July 25th and will wrap up on September 8th. And during that period, we're hoping to get as much feedback as possible from the community to help understand what they think about those proposals. And then moving forward, being able to edit and adjust those proposals to meet the needs of what we're hearing from the community. So I just really want to stress that nothing is locked in stone, nothing is set in stone, excuse me. Everything that we have is the draft proposal, and we're really looking and hoping to get as much community feedback as possible. That being said, we do have a number of in-person and virtual community events coming up throughout the next couple of weeks. I believe we have 15 in total, and those are spread out throughout the region. I would ask again that folks visit TucsonCOA.com to get that comprehensive list of where we'll be and at what times. If not, we have virtual options for folks that can't make it in person, and we have the recordings on the site as well as a survey folks can take. There are also options to call in directly to Suntran and also email suntraninfo@TucsonAZ.com to have their voices and opinions recorded and used in the analysis for those draft recommendations. The last thing I'll say before I turn it over is that we really do need the folks on here support to try and get the word out to as many community members as possible. The city of Tucson has pushed it out through its social media. Suntran has pushed it out through their social media. And but really we're looking to solicit the help from the other jurisdictions to get it out to their folks and hopefully spread the word, get as much input as possible. That way, when we go to craft those final recommendations, we're really taking into account that broad spectrum of the community that is interested in seeing changes in transit. So with that, I'll give it back to Rio and we can address any particular changes, but knowing that, as Rio mentioned, we have on the books meetings with Town of Oro Valley, Town of Marana, and we have a couple other pending scheduled meetings to talk with the groups that are most directly impacted by the proposed changes in the COA.
Yeah, and I'd like to just go ahead and share my screen and direct your attention to TucsonCOA.com. Here you'll find the list of town halls under attend an event. It should be the first page that you come to. You can see that we touch most areas of the metropolitan area. I'll be attending a lot of these events. I invite everyone else to attend the events that you feel are relevant to your jurisdictions, so that we can make sure that there's a solid amount of representation from all of our jurisdictional members. Yeah, I'll open the floor to any questions about where we're at and where we're going.
Hey, Rio and James, it's Jonathan here. Are you planning any meetings one-on-one with staff or elected officials at the jurisdictions, or just these public free-for-alls?
We have individual meetings with staff. In terms of the elected officials, at least for City of Tucson, we have met with each one of the ward offices and the mayor's office. For the other jurisdictions, Jonathan, we have some meetings. I believe we met maybe a week or so ago. You and David and myself. If you'd like, we can set up another one. If you have additional questions, we'd be happy to set up another one-on-one. And we do have some one-on-one set up with Town of Marana and Town of Oro Valley, and then looking to set up one with Pasco Yaqui tribe. Again, those are kind of the most impacted jurisdictions. Sahuarita has very minimal, if any, changes to the 421. But the jurisdictions that do have proposed impacts, we are meeting one-on-one with them at the staff level.
Okay, great. Thanks. Yeah, county administration may want to schedule a follow-up meeting with you guys. So I will let you know what their decision is here in the coming days and weeks.
Certainly.
Great,
And,
thank you.
You know, since this body is the body that makes recommendations on Sun Shuttle service, the folks of the transit working group are really the high touch points and high touch contacts to really focus in on that element, the Sun Shuttle element. Any further questions, comments?
Town of Oro Valley has some comments when it's appropriate.
I think that would be now, John.
Okay, so as far as the Sun Shuttle dial-a-ride service, we are wanting to have a position made known that we would like to expand our service on weekends for seniors and general public. Mostly, I guess our concern is seniors who are homebound normally and unable to like go to church services and things like that. And I think the gist of the COA is to try to also offer that to people in the Tucson area on weekend service. So I think it's kind of in line with what the COA is trying to do. So that's what we were wanting to make known. And we also don't want it to be the same as the senior service during the week where we can take them down into town for appointments and things. But we would just have it restricted to the blue zone only, which would help with the cost of the operation. But that's our position for the Sun Shuttle dial-a-ride service. And then we also have some comments about the 401, if this is a good time for that.
Certainly, go ahead.
Okay, so for the 401, I believe in the COA, the plan is eventually, not right away, but I think it's eventually to extend the 401 maybe down to the Tahona Transit Center. Is that true?
That's correct.
Okay, so we would rather and think it would serve our customers better if you did that and tried to keep the headway at 1 hour. You'd probably have to add extra buses and drivers. So we think it would serve the public better if we could get the headway down to 30 minutes and maybe add a few more stops along the way, maybe so that it would encourage more ridership. The 1 hour headway results in people who have appointments on average might have to be there between close to an hour to 30 minutes early. And then the same for the return. Of course, if it's shopping, of course, I understand that's not an issue, but for appointments and things, it would cause that to happen, or it causes that to happen. So we think that going down to a 30-minute headway and a coordinated transfer at the bus stop at Ina and Oracle for Suntran would be a more beneficial to the citizens in the area.
Right. And to respond directly to that, John, I've instructed our consulting partners to investigate that possibility, that the 30-minute headway, and see if there's a way that we can eke it out in a cost neutral option. So
thank you.
Yeah.
That's it for our input right now.
All right. Any other questions, comments?
I'll jump in again. So the county's still kind of reviewing the proposed changes, and we have a group, a number of county employees who use the express services in particular, who are concerned about the cutbacks and the changes in the express routes. So we're actually collecting comments from a number of county employees and county staff who use the service, who are concerned, and we'll be collating those and probably be sending those from county administration to you guys on what our position are. So we don't have those comments right today to kind of summarize as succinctly as John just did from Moore Valley, but we will be providing pretty detailed comments, and a number of them from county employees who are impacted, and also just county ridership on some of the routes where we're seeing some proposed changes. So,
Okay. I see Davida.
Yeah. So, hi y'all. Jonathan, specifically for the county employees that are looking at those express routes, I would appreciate it if you would also check the other express routes. A number of the express routes, especially the ones going to Raytheon, were merged with the ones that were going to downtown. So the route number may not be there, but the route may still be there. I know a couple of them aren't, so I don't want to give that impression, but I do want you guys to look at the other expresses and see if the service is still there. Because when we were looking at, when you look at the comparison map, there is the yellow that you see on that comparison map is definitely currently gone in the proposal, but where there's blue, it may be just that the routes were merged with another route. So I just want to have everybody keep that in mind, but specifically as you guys are going through and making your comments, if you wouldn't mind.
yeah, thanks, Davida. Appreciate it. Yeah, on the I'm understanding that, and I'm kind of looking at it's a little difficult to tell, or maybe I can assume that if we're changing, or if we're doing that kind of a change, or making a change like on the 21 and 23, where we're proposing to eliminate 23 and replace some of its service with the new 21. For example, the 21 has a couple different options that are listed on the map as potential or proposed. So that's not it's hard to tell which one would be chosen, and depending on which is selected, you're going to eliminate service for some people who are actually transit dependent and pretty needy. So the other thing that's not really clear is when are those operating? What hours are they operating? So I think that's maybe less of an issue with the mainline routes that tend to have a more uniform and consistent schedule during the course of the day and the evening and the weekend. But on the express routes in particular, because if we're eliminating 2 or 3 different options for people to commute to or from downtown from the external communities, and replacing that with a single route that only leaves at a certain time once per day, that impacts some of those folks who use those services now. So it's a little tough to tell just with the overview map that shows the alignment where it drives, as opposed to telling us exactly when it leaves where, when. And that information would actually be really helpful for us, for people to compare what you're proposing to what exists now and where they can and cannot utilize the substitute service.
Right. Ria, do I have permissions to share my screen?
Let me attempt to stop sharing, and you can attempt to screen share.
Okay. Let's see. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
So, Jonathan, this is I was originally just going to go into Remix, but this is the COA website. If you're going into the meeting or whatever, If you scroll down to where it says explore the draft plan, this is an interactive map. It's the map that we're using as staff and the consultants. And what you can do if you want to look at something that, down to that level, say, for example, 204, because it goes from Oro Valley to Raytheon, not only can you see how the whole route, so the 204 is still going to Raytheon, but it's merged with the 104 and goes downtown. But you can also see here on the side is the trips that it's taking in the morning going inward. And then if you click on outbound, it'll show you, inbound, you can see the arrows. That's actually the afternoon trips, and the morning trips are going south. So when you guys are in there looking at it, if you wouldn't mind going to this spot, and it's the same for any route. So if you are interested in what's happening with the Route 2, this is the proposed change for specifically the Route 2. But as you can see, the route continues all the way to Laos using a different route, but it transfers at the hospital. But you can also see the schedule of that route. So you can see where that change is and what the schedule is that's planned. And so in this case, it will still go from 6 a.m. until 7 p.m. every 30 minutes. And then from 7 p.m. until 11 p.m., 60 minutes. And the big change here for like the Route 2 is it's going an additional hour into the evening that it does not currently do. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, that's going to be great.
There and being able to compare to what you have today to what is proposed in the future.
Yeah, thanks, Davida. Yeah, that wasn't on there a week ago or so when I last checked. So this is going to be helpful information to look at.
Davida, I was hoping before. Share your screen just to show also the group the different travel patterns, because some of the routes have different patterns, and I know that was something that was kind of we wanted to make sure folks knew how to use that to see the different pattern options on some of the proposed routes.
So the one that keeps coming up for us is route. Can you still see my screen? Because I reshared.
Yep.
Sure. Okay, so Route 11 is one that currently today, when you get to Aho, it either turns and goes to Laos or it stays on Palo Verde to go to the airport. And it still turns at Aho, but it would, in the future, it would merge with the Route 50 and go all the way to Mission Road. So it would not go to Laos. It would stay on Aho from Palo Verde all the way to Mission Road. So if you see where I have the letter A, if you click on the letter A, you can see another pattern, pattern B, which is the airport routing. And the difference with the airport routing is right now, it goes down here and it does this loop for home goods, and then it goes to the airport.
Davida, I hate to interrupt. We did just lose Lisa Schaefer, so we've lost quorum.
Oh, I'm sorry about that, but that's how you do that particular.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to have to call the meeting here, team. I appreciate everyone coming, and I apologize that we lost quorum. All right.
So please come to some of the meetings if you have more questions.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.